In Richland, too, our celebrities are our retirees, our rock stars. We welcome you with open arms and give you red carpet, rather red sweater treatment every February. Each Richland 2 retiree is like a blockbuster hit and becomes a classic over time that is long remembered.
Thanks so much for making a difference in the lives of so many students. So I was asked to pick out my favorite teacher that I had in elementary, middle, and high school. That's too hard to do. So I made a list of my favorite teachers that really influenced my life. Mrs. Levitt, Mrs. Scott, and Mrs. Hunter come to mind when I think about Windsor Elementary School. Mrs. Rosemary Nance, Mrs. Campbell, Mrs. Fuller, Mrs. Cato, Mrs. Hazel, and Mrs. Pollard come to mind when I think of E.L. Wright. And then in high school at Spring Valley, Mrs. Haudenshield taught me about Shakespeare, Mrs. Harris taught me algebra, and Mrs. Kelly taught me biology.
My English teacher, Linda Dean, I love Miss Dean. Miss Dean was great. She was one who could incorporate just her funny personality into her teaching. She'd always let us kind of go astray a little bit and reel us back in. And just a lot of fun. Miss Dean, wherever you are, miss you, love you, hope you're doing well.
But one that kind of mainly stands out for me is Dr. Monterano, whom I had in 7th grade at Dent Middle School. She was my science teacher, and she really inspired me.
But my favorite teacher is, of course, my mother, Dale Earhart. She taught in the district, retired from the district, loved teaching, loved her job, going to school every single day made her happy. Mom, you influenced all of their lives. You influenced the lives of your 3 children at home, and we are so grateful. I thank God that He gave me you as a mom.
You inspired many of your students to go into education and were wonderful role models to this generation of teachers.
A teacher that inspired me to become a teacher and to love teaching would probably be Ms. Halliday. In 5th grade math, she always made it fun and enjoyable, and she just truly cared about all of us.
The faculty member who inspired me the most was my counselor at Spring Valley High School, Phil Grubbs. He gave me lots of great academic career information and lots of good advice in life. So I'm a counselor today because of Mr. Grubbs.
But the one that sticks out the most is Mama T, Miss Barbara Thompson from Richland Northeast High School. She mentored me. She made sure I stayed on the right path even when I went off to college. I experienced a great loss when I lost my father my freshman year in high school. And I don't know if she remembers or not, but she sent me letters to keep me inspired and encouraged so I wouldn't get depressed and make sure that I stayed on the right career path. And she is the reason why I came into education.
Richland 2 educators fondly remembered their favorites.
I attended Spring Valley High School, where my all-time favorite teacher was Dave Oberly. He was a phenomenal math teacher, and he knew how to build relationships with students, and I loved him so much that he was the reason why I went to Carolina and majored in math. Love David Oberly.
The one teacher in Richland 2 that really controlled me and got me to where I am and helped me along was Miss Jeannie Simoneau. She was awesome. I still love you, Miss Simoneau.
My favorite Richland 2 teacher was Miss Fancher. She was my teacher when I was at Windsor in 5th grade Alert. She was a really awesome teacher because she taught us to be creative and to think outside the box.
In elementary school, I had Miss Gandy. Miss Gandy at Forest Lake Elementary. She was so much fun. I remember her vividly. She used to stand on the desk. I don't know if she used to love to. You probably get in trouble for this now. But she used to stand on the desk and used to that's how she gave her lessons. So that was what I really remember. She was the most fun.
One of those teachers, Mr. John Goldsboro, taught me at Spring Valley High School, and then we worked alongside each other here at Blythewood Middle.
My favorite teacher from high school was Mr. John Stafford. He was my Western Civilization teacher back at Spring Valley back in the day, and I just remember him for being just even-tempered, calm, and he just made learning fun.
I'd like to say a special thanks to Mrs. Barbara Holbrook. I transferred into Spring Valley as an 11th grader, I think, and was in Mrs. Holbrook's English class. And not only was she a fabulous teacher and I love the English language, but she also helped me choose Columbia College. She was a C-Square graduate, and I actually went to Columbia College, and it was because of Mrs. Holbrook's influence.
High school, Miss Boozer, English class. I remember I was one of her darling cherubs.
I graduated from Spring Valley in 1975, and one of my favorite teachers who inspired me a lot was Rick Gritch, who coached me in basketball along with Lee Cody. But Rick was my JV coach, and I came out of college and went straight into coaching under Rick. He was the athletic director, and he just inspired me to continue to work hard. And so Rick has always been one of my favorite coaches, teachers, and I'm proud to call him a friend.
An Oscar-winning performance in the classroom is always backed up by the best supporting staff.
That would have to be my mother, Sylvia Koenig. She worked in the district for almost 30 years, and she definitely inspired me. She enjoyed going to work every day. She brought joy to her job, and I think they brought a lot of joy to her.
Mr. Robinson was the head custodian at Dent when I was there in the mid-90s, and he was a DJ on the side, and whenever we had a special event at the school, he would bring in his DJ equipment and play music for us, and that was really cool.
Every award show has its Lifetime Achievement Award, and today we highlight one of our oldest retirees, Mrs. Frances Riley, who began teaching at age 19 and came to the district in 1944.
I think I was a pretty good teacher. I've never heard of any of the children I taught being in jail. So, they may have, but I've never read any reports on them in the police bulletins. And most of them went on to be successful people.
Back then, with 44 students, class size was not an issue.
Well, it was wall-to-wall children, and I told them they had to sit correctly. I did not want to stumble over their feet.
Mrs. Riley has been retired for 30 years, longer than she taught. What's the biggest change?
Books. I love books, and now they tell me books are out, and smart boards are in, and all my children have computers and tablets and all these things that I'm completely illiterate.
She may be up in years, but Mrs. Riley isn't slowing down.
My mailbox is 165 steps from my back door, so I get a little workout right there. But I stay on the go. I go to church every Sunday. I drive my car myself in the truck. I fish. I have a fish pond. No regrets. I wanted to be a teacher from the time I went to elementary school and had such a good teacher in a two-room school with a pot-bellied stove.
I want to thank all of Richland too. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I am now finishing up year 32, having never left, and hoping that next year I'm going to be planning on sitting there with you guys.
Thank you all for what you've done for the students of my generation, the next generation, and many future generations.
Well, I want to thank all the teachers for just, your careers, the differences you made to people. We thank you for being here today, and hopefully I'm going to be joining you real soon as one of the retirees.
Every one of you here today is deserving of an Oscar for the role that you played in my education and for the students before and after me here in Richland School District 2. I wish we could name all of you, but we would be here forever. Just know that you all will forever be in all of our hearts here in Richland School District 2. Love you!